Welcome everybody to Maxter Plays. On this channel, usually I just upload like some funny clips from gameplay with friends and stuff. But me and my friend, we had an idea that we should review the Humble Choice games. So Humble Bundle does like this monthly bundle of games for I think about 13 euros a month for a selection of around 8 games. But we really like these bundles, and lately they've been getting a little bit lackluster. I know Robbie, who is the friend that I will be doing this with, he skipped last year. He skipped pretty much all of them except for one, which had a game that was coincidentally on his wish list. I have been getting them, but I haven't been playing all the games there. I haven't been trying games that don't spark my interest. And honestly, this is a shame because I think there really are quite oftenly there's a couple of like hidden gems in there. Right? There's oftenly like some games that actually look not great, but can be quite fun if you play them. So we decided to do this show, right, where we buy the bundle, both of us. We split the games because otherwise we'll be playing them for too long, right? And we both, have a crack at what we think about the games, whether this bundle is worth it to get, and so forth. So today, right, this video will be about the Humble Choice bundle for 2026, for June. Just checking the 8 games in the list and whether they are worth purchasing. So the games this month, June 2026, are Octopath Traveler 2, The Riftbreaker, Life is Strange Double Exposure, INDIKA, Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector, Construction Simulator, Hell Clock, and Overlooting. They also added later on in the month, they added like a playtest for Flowers and Deities, and they often do like a month of IGN Plus. So first off, Octopath Traveler. I've played Octopath Traveler 1 a little bit. Octopath Traveler 2 is definitely one of the headliners, right, of this bundle. So let me start with the Steam description. This game is a brand new entry in the Octopath Traveler series, the first installment of which was initially released in 2018 and sold over 3 million copies worldwide. As you can see, that says nothing about the game, just that the first one was popular. So I went back to the first one, Octopath Traveler 1, and the description is much more fitting. Namely, 8 travelers, 8 adventures, 8 roles to play. Embark on an epic journey across the vast and wondrous world of Orstera, and discover the captivating stories of each of the 8 travelers. Now, if you have never played or seen something about Octopath Traveler 1, that's fine. Right? The games are completely separate stories with whole new characters, and like the description says, you basically follow 8 different characters with completely different backgrounds, fighting styles, and you go through their personal stories of love and revenge and salvation, etc. You play through their backstories individually, and after that, you can team up and you have party compositions of 4 out of 8 for all of these subsequent stories. Right, so when you go through chapter 2 of one of these characters, you can take other characters with you. Now, in total, there's about 60 hours of gameplay, but that's if you're, mashing the button throughout dialogue, and if you're just playing the main story, nothing else. But it goes all the way up to like 95 hours thereabouts if you want to see and do everything in game, or if you're an achievement hunter. I've played it for I think now like 4 hours, 5 hours, and I played Octopath Traveler 1 for about 10 hours. And what I've seen and what I've also like noticed in reviews that I've read about the game, it basically is Octopath Traveler 1 with a different story, different characters, but better in every way. Right? And this is subjective, of course. Maybe you like the characters better in the first game, but the stories are more interesting. And I only played through like the chapter 1 for the characters, but it was a lot more enticing than anything I had seen in Octopath Traveler 1. And there are a lot more gameplay options, both in and out of battle. There's the whole latent power system where all characters can build up another like energy gauge on top of like the BP bar that you could already use to attack multiple times. You can use 3 unique skills for your character. You get 2 special interactive skills on the overworld map to interact with NPCs. For example, befriend them, or duel them, or bribe them. And it's based on whether it's day or night, so every character has 2 of these special abilities, special skills. And honestly, for me, the graphics are phenomenal. And they already were in Octopath Traveler 1, right? It has beautiful graphics. It's so nicely done with the whole 2.5D thing that's happening on top of like the pixel art, but very like detailed backgrounds. But OT2 does it even better. There's prettier environments, there's better battle animations, like very nice battle animations, and there's much more detail in the background, in the foreground, on the characters, basically on all models. It's so nicely done. And the thing is, for me personally, I've always liked the idea of like these JRPG style games, right? But like with OT1, it's very hard for me to get hooked on them. And that's in part because of the repetitiveness, right? Like random encounters on the overworld, this kind of stuff. But I've played Octopath Traveler 2 for quite a few hours now, and I've not gotten sick of it yet. And for me, that's a big win, right? Like sitting here talking about it, about what I like about it, it just makes me want to play it more. The next game up is Life is Strange Double Exposure. And the description goes, when Max Caulfield finds her friend Safi dead in the snow, she tears open the way to a parallel timeline. Here, Safi is still alive and still in danger. With a new power to shift between two timelines, can Max solve and prevent the same murder? So, the original Life is Strange from 2015 has become a classic. And I think people were really longing for a game at that point with like a rich story where your choices actually matter. Especially after being gaslit by Telltale games with the illusion of choice for so long, like the Walking Dead games and stuff. And the original from 2015 delivered on that, and its refreshing take on the whole genre at that point was great. It was a decently grounded coming of age story, plenty of supernatural elements to still keep you hooked, even if you didn't like that. And after the original, two more Life is Strange games released. There was Part 2 and True Colors, and both were about different characters than the original, right, with different powers. And Double Exposure is the first game to go back to its roots and follow the main character from the first game, so Max Caulfield. At this point, she has lost her time-reminding powers, but she receives dimension-hopping powers after the end of Act 1, so you have to play through a little bit of it. It's great to play as this returning character, who already has a personality built up from the first game, from all 5 acts, I believe there were, but who has clearly grown. She's now teaching photography courses at college, she's in her 20s, and all the characters that you meet are, sometimes charming, sometimes infuriating, but all very human. There is a ton of subtle and environmental storytelling to be found. All optional, of course. You can find it in the world if you explore around, or you can just directly go to your next objective. I especially love the system with text messages from characters and their social media walls that you can visit on your, your fake Instagram. It really makes the world feel alive, and they will react to stuff that happens in the story and choices that you have made. Choice-wise, I actually found myself being so frustrated with the consequences of my choice at one point that I considered restarting the whole game, even though I'd already played for a couple of hours. This immediately saved to a checkpoint. And this wasn't at all because the choice wasn't fair or because I hadn't realized the consequences that could have happened. I just felt really bad at how intensely it was portrayed, right? Like the results of it. And to me, that is exactly what I want from a Life is Strange game. Great writing, great characters, difficult choices with actual impact, and a well-crafted world to mill around in. There are a couple of negatives, especially the writing, although good, it is actually very cringy at some points. And that's fine because these are 20-year-olds, they're awkward, nerdy 20-year-olds, right? And their students are even younger. So they are cringy and they will say cringy stuff, and that's fine. And that fits the characters for sure. But it can feel a little bit cringy to even get through the dialogue sometimes. In general, though, I really cannot wait to keep playing this game. I'm definitely going to finish it, 100% it. And I absolutely 100% recommend this entry as well. It's just going back to the original roots of the Life is Strange game, which made that game so popular back then. Next up is the game INDIKA. And according to the Steam description, play a third-person, story-driven game set in alternative Russia at the turn of the 19th century, where religious visions clash with harsh reality. INDIKA tells the story of a young nun who sets off on a journey of self-discovery, with a most unusual companion by her side, the devil himself. This game, it's rough. It's hard to describe what I think about it, because first off, I played through the whole thing. Right, it's about 5 hours. When you just do the story, it's slightly less, but I went back to get some achievements and other collectible things. But it's about 5 hours long, and at the start, it starts off very Stanley Parable-esque. So what do I mean by that? Like multi-layered commentary on religion, on like the whole position of nuns, and the devil is basically your narrator, right? He's basically the narrator in the Stanley Parable. He talks to the main character, and this main character is this nun called INDIKA. And this is definitely, according to me, it's the strongest part of the game. Right? The conversations or the monologues that the devil has, and when he speaks like with INDIKA about stuff, it's the strongest part of the game. It's interesting. It kind of keeps you hooked because the devil has very interesting viewpoints. It's basically INDIKA trying to be a good nun, and the devil sneakily letting on what she's actually feeling deep inside. Right? And it's basically like INDIKA and the devil discussing with each other about religion, about life, about sex, etc. Now, for me, it was kind of a shock because the beginning of this game is super funny. I'm talking like unnecessarily funny. Like there were scenes in the beginning that actually made me laugh out loud, which I'm sorry, but for a game that almost never happens. And this would be great by itself, right? That's a positive thing, but it absolutely does not fit the tone of the rest of the game in the slightest. Most other parts are at least neutral, and that goes all the way to like very grim scenes, very rough scenes. It is a walking simulator, and that has puzzles, but the puzzles are all very simple. So it's mostly a walking simulator with some light puzzling interruptions. For me, the best puzzles are where the devil is just rambling about all of INDIKA's insecurities, about religion, about sexuality, and the only way to make him stop like rambling is you hold the pray button, right? And then all you hear is just INDIKA whispering to herself, just Bible verses, and there's a whole fractured world that you're standing in, and it basically fuses together again, right? And then when you let go of the pray button and it's the devil again, the whole world breaks again. So it's kind of like some fun dimensional puzzling. And honestly, this would be, if this was like the main hook of the game, the main gameplay loop, the main puzzle, I would be happy with that already. But this only happens twice in the whole game, and they're very easy puzzles, which means it really happens for, if you run through it a little bit, for 45 seconds. Right? You pray, you walk to the right place, you let go, you go to the next place, you pray again, and you're out. Right? And it just sucks, right? It would be so much better if they made this a bigger part of the game instead of focusing on these low effort puzzles, which really most people could just do blindfolded almost. Very interesting aspect of the game, which I really, really liked, surprisingly, is that the backstory of INDIKA, so before she got to the nunnery, to the monastery, it's told through 2D pixelated minigames, with like Frogger style, or like Donkey Kong, like Mario jumping up the thing with barrels being thrown at him. It's basically little 2D pixel minigames, and it's a very welcome addition to cut up like the monotony of the constant walking simulator. What's weird is that aspects of this 2D pixelated thing, they come into the base game, the main game. There's like a system of guilt or sin points, like collectible points, which don't matter. It says it in all the loading screens, but they're pixelated, right? So you just constantly, while you're walking seriously, cinematically through the snow, in the top left of your screen is just a constant pixelated 2,840 out of 3,000 guild points, which just looks weird. On top of that, in the music, in the base game, in the main game, the music contains a lot of 8-bit stuff, as if it will be in this 2D pixelated thing, and it just doesn't fit the world that you're playing in at that moment. Now, speaking of the world, super interesting. It's like an alternative industrial Russia, and what I really like is, for some reason, in this world, all the animals are huge, right? So the same with animal products. And at a certain point, uh, INDIKA is on a train and she's standing on a bunch of like black stuff. So I just thought, of course, this is a coal train. It's industrial era. It's normal. And then at a certain point, she starts whining about the smell. It's like, does coal smell that bad? I'm sure it doesn't smell nice, but I don't think it's something to comment on the smell about. And then later on in that level, I saw that there were huge tins of caviar, so that basically that all that black shit, the huge balls of black shit, were just all like fish eggs, like caviar. And it's cool because this aspect of the game, you don't interact with it much, right? In the beginning area, if you go to a place where you don't have to actually go, you see in the distance a very big goat, like as tall as a house, basically. And you get this like fish egg thing, this caviar thing. And there's one place in the game where you have to interact with like one of these big animals. But otherwise, they just kind of allude to it, which sucks because this is so interesting, and it actually got me more interested in this aspect, right? And there's like huge animals in this weird alternative world than INDIKA's adventure itself, because it's meant to be a little bit boring, her adventure. Last thing that I want to say, last gripe I have with this game was created by a Russian team. right? Russian developers, and it takes place in Russia. Why would you not give the characters at least a Russian accent? You don't have to make the whole game in Russian, but give them a Russian accent. They have the most grating English accents, and it doesn't really have a reason. And what frustrates me mostly is that even when they say Russian words, right, when characters are speaking Russian words like locations, names, certain objects, they say them with the English accents. They don't even say it in the Russian way, which is such a weird choice. In general, though, to summarize, it was fun playing through this. The gameplay is moi, right? Of course, like it's a walking simulator, so don't go into it expecting more than a walking simulator. But there are some entertaining parts, and honestly, for me, if the tone differences between certain aspects weren't so incredibly unnecessary, so weird, it would be a great game. If they either held on to this humor from the start of the game, or to this like very grim seriousness in the end of the game, if it was just throughout the whole game, it would be great. It will be honestly, well, great is a big word. It will be sufficient. It will be a 6.5 out of 10, right? But because I didn't really know what to expect from the tone at certain points, and because the gameplay is non-existent, I don't know if I would recommend this game. I think it's definitely worth checking it out. All right, the next game up is the Riftbreaker. So the Steam description goes, the Riftbreaker is a solo or co-op base building survival game with action RPG elements for up to 4 players. Hack and slash countless hordes of enemies, build up your base, craft powerful weapons, and research new inventions to survive. Well, but you played this game. How did you like it? What did you think about it?
Yeah, so it has been a while since I played it. Last time I played it was in June 2022. At the time, I did enjoy the game. It's kind of like Factorio, but you're in a mech suit and it's like top-down 3D. You kind of, yeah, build a base in there, farm resources. The planet turns hostile to you, start spawning creatures that attack your base. You have to protect it, etc. There's a campaign mode, there's a survival mode, there's a skirmish mode, and as far as I know, it's still getting updates. I know one of the latest DLCs that they released was in 2024, which granted is 2 years back, but it does show that they were still updating the game. So overall, I think it is a pretty decent game.
How long did you play it for back then?
I did only play it for 3 hours.
But when you were playing 3 hours in, did you feel like you'd already seen a lot of the content, or did you feel like
Oh
you
no,
already
no.
okay? So there was way more to do, way more to explore and develop and stuff.
Yeah, there was way more to do than all the things I've experienced, and from what I had experienced, it was fun.
So I've never played Factorio myself, but there's this same like gameplay loop of getting new machines and expanding your base and slowly expanding everything, or
Yeah, from what I remember, it was something like that, where you mine new resources, you get new buildings, and then you upgrade. You unlock new researches, which allow you to get different weapons for your mech to defend your base, get different buildings, and then get more resources and continue on.
the next game on the list in the 2026 choice bundle is Construction Simulator. And the Steam description goes, Construction Simulator has returned, larger and more impressive than ever. Fulfill your ambition to become a successful construction entrepreneur by establishing your business from scratch, assisted by your mentor, Hape. Now, as soon as we saw this game in the bundle, we thought this would be one of the one of the most fun ones because it had co-op and simulator games can be a little bit janky. So we really wanted to play this one together, right?
Yeah, you can bleep me out because fuck this game.
So this was really one where I was looking forward to a lot. So we started playing it. We skipped the tutorial because it was a long one.
It's
Basically,
3 hours long or something like that.
yeah, you can't play together until you finish the tutorial. So I was like, okay, maybe you actually suggested maybe it's smart if we know the controls and everything and how to do everything. But then I looked up how long it took, and it's literally 3 hours of gameplay in not the most fun environment. So we decided to skip it, immediately go into co-op mode. So honestly, in general, this is a construction simulator, right? All the well-known construction vehicles are in it, and they work. They do what they should do.
I just think that if you enjoy this type of game, just go find a job in this because you'll get paid and you'll be doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, the quality of the simulator, it's pretty astounding that they do have it down from at least my knowledge about construction, which is like zero,
Uh-huh.
about like all the steps you have to take and all the work it requires and everything. It's pretty well detailed in that regard. But it also makes it that someone who enjoys the more bad construction games, the more asset flipper ones, this is becoming a little bit too much like a job.
Yeah, it really is. It was too realistic in that sense. And I guess, yeah, what you said, if you want a simulator, it works, right? It does simulate construction. But the best part of the game, at least for me, I don't know how you saw it, but when we were driving towards the construction area in like in one truck and one like construction vehicle, no clue what it's called because like you, zero experience in construction. Um, but that was the most fun part because you could like knock each other off the road. There's janky physics, the classic like just flying off the road at 300 miles an hour because you get like touched lightly. That
Yeah,
was super fun.
there's definitely some desync going on in co-op where we weren't in the same position for each other, which allowed for the jank to happen.
Yeah, yeah. So the co-op mode, but when we were doing, to be fair, when we were doing the simulator part, there was no problem there. No co-op bugs or anything.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So it's stable. It's very stable. It's functional. It does what it should do. Just when you give me a huge vehicle with a big like thing on it, a big steel thing, I want to be able to drive it into a building. I want to do more with it than just construct the mission that you're supposed to construct. And even then, I mean, you're like you said, it's the steps are all there. That's true. But when you're constructing the sound barrier, you have to grab a certain like thing of concrete. You have to put it into a thing, but it clicks into it when it works, right? You don't have to actually do it yourself. You just put it on there, and then it clicks into position.
Yeah, yeah, you put it close enough, you can press a button, and it just puts it down for you.
Yeah, and when you finish like enough of the digging, and 100% is not actually 100%, it would actually be like 30%, I think, because you don't have to dig the entire hole. You can also just skip it after a while. So in that sense, even like if you want a pure simulator, I think it still really doesn't make the cut, in my opinion. But maybe I'm being too strict on it because I understand that it's hard to do that like really fully simulating. Anyways, it was fun for an hour, and then we played it for another hour, and it was not fun.
All
Anyways,
right,
Construction Simulator, definitely do not recommend this game.
I recommend this game if you're into construction.
The next game up is Hell Clock, and the Steam description goes: forge powerful builds with endless loot in this relentless combination of roguelike and ARPG. Blast through dungeons and unleash inhuman powers in a dark fantasy twist on Brazil's War of Canudos. Rob, this was one of your games. You played through this one.
Yeah,
Um,
honestly, the past few days I've been in a pretty big Path of Exile 2 grind,
sure.
right set mindset, which kind of, this game, it kind of scratches that itch a little bit. It's the same like combat style,
Yeah.
where it's basically like a hack and slash, but well, ARPG, I guess,
Yeah, the
right?
fast-paced ARPG, Diablo,
Um,
yeah.
so honestly, I enjoyed this game more than I thought I would. Now, for the story in the game, don't even get me started. I have no clue. They speak in Portuguese, and they will start talking to you in the middle of a boss fight, and there are English subtitles, but yeah, balancing the game, like bosses can kill you pretty fast. So there's no time to stand still, read the English subtitles, and then continue on the fight. You just have to focus on the fight and miss that part of the story and be like, well, that's it. So in my end, I started skipping all of the story because I couldn't follow it. So I wasn't really particularly interested in following it. For the other parts, there's a whole relic system, and they don't really explain all too much about it. Like there's these drops you get, like Tool of Fury and that kind of stuff, which allow you to upgrade your relics to make them higher rarity tiers, to make them have more stats, better stats, and that kind of stuff. But they never really tell you to go use it. You just have to go into the thing, notice there's items there, and know you're supposed to click it and then click a relic.
Because this game is like well, not short, but like an indie game and very easy to get into, I decided to also like play through it a little bit, like a couple of runs, only like an hour or something, maybe 2 hours. And yeah, like you said, what I noticed immediately is you really get thrown into it, right? Like not only story wise, but also gameplay wise, relic wise, honestly, everything. You just get thrown into it. Not much explanation, which is, I don't know if it's negative or positive.
There's also a part in the gameplay where you can have like the best build going on, whatever, and you're progressing further than you ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game at some point, it just, spoiler warning, it just kills your character, story related,
Wait, really?
and ends your run, which kind of feels suckish because that just means that you had an amazing run, but you really couldn't get as far as you could because the game forces you to go back.
Yeah, so these roguelite games sometimes do this when they have like these forced barriers where you can it sucks, right? If you're doing well
Yeah.
enough, if you have a good enough build, you should be able to continue.
Yeah, because it's not even a skill check. It's just, oh, you
Yeah.
made it this far. Well, now start over and
Yeah,
hope you
yeah.
get another good run.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, to be fair, it's not all too difficult a game. There's an ability you get, Split Shot. It kind of really reminds me of Diablo 3 Demon Hunter. And you just rush through everything and pierce everything, and it goes quite fast. It's quite fun, honestly.
Yeah, I was an enjoyer. I don't know what it's called, but when you have like a machine gun power that you're
The
using.
repeater.
Yeah, the repeater. When you upgrade that a little bit with like many relics, you just everything dies. You shred through everything. It's very fun. A couple of things because so I was looking at the description, right? This War of Canoodles, and it all seemed a bit weird when I fell into the game, and I looked it up, and apparently this is like an actual historical event, like a war in Brazil, like in I don't know 17, 1800 something.
Mhm.
So interesting that it's based on first of all historical events, but also like a super not well known historical event, at least not like in Europe. But also I checked the settings because it was pissing me off that they were all speaking Portuguese, and I turned it to English language like after 2 minutes. So it was no problem at all for me.
I just stopped caring the moment they started speaking Portuguese and anything. I was like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Honestly, that's fair enough because after I turned it to English, I still had no clue what was going on. So it's fine. Just leave it on Portuguese, I think. Do you think this game like has any business like competing with Path of Exile, Diablo, Torchlight, like these classic ARPGs?
Oh, no.
Okay.
It has no way of competing with that just based on the fact that it's a roguelite. There's some consistency, but there's no leveling, there's no grinding for the highest difficulty tiers. Well, there sort of is, but not in the way that Path of Exile, Diablo, Grim Dawn, those type of games offer you.
Yeah.
But speaking of like grinding higher difficulty tiers, does bring me to the achievements of the game.
Yeah.
If you're an achievement hunter, I don't think you will enjoy this game as much unless you also are a really big fan of ARPGs.
Mm-hmm. Why
Because
is this?
there are achievements in this game which are, oh, beat this and this on difficulty this, which I presume will get insanely hard even with like having stuff unlocked and upgraded.
Because the difficulty this, you mean like a hardcore mode or something?
Yeah, that as well. Like complete Ascension in Hell 75 hardcore.
Okay.
Like I don't even know what Ascension in Hell is, but I do know hardcore means that if you die, you just have to restart your character, right?
Last thing that I want to ask about this because you've do you know how many runs you've played thereabout?
I've done about 18 runs in the game, which puts me at 7.3 hours of gameplay.
How does the roguelite aspect feel? Like, do you feel like you're progressing enough between each death, between each run? When you go into a new run, do you immediately feel more powerful than the one before it? Do you immediately notice the effects of what you've spent your iridium and your constellations and stuff into?
Usually, yeah.
Okay, great, great.
There'll be like a difference between like taking a minute to kill a single elite enemy versus taking 10 seconds to kill one.
Sure, that's a big difference. So this game, I mean, you've put quite a few hours into it now. Would you say you recommend it?
I would recommend it if you like games like Path of Exile and Diablo, but aren't really like looking for the leveled grinding aspects of it.
Right, so it's a recommend from you. Nice. Up next, we have the game Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector. And reading the Steam description, it says Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Vector, is a dice-driven RPG in a human and heartfelt sci-fi world. You are an escaped android with a malfunctioning body, a price on your head, and no memory of your past. Get a ship, find a crew, and take on contracts while you navigate across the Starward Belt. Now, this is an interesting one because this game is a fully text-based story RPG, which means that there is some art of the characters that you're speaking to, and every location that you visit in the game in space has a 3D model in the background. So let's say you're in a space station, you can basically see the space station in the background, and you can choose where to go on the space station. But otherwise, you will be spending all of your playtime reading text boxes. It feels like it is great for what it is. Played it for a couple of hours. I could definitely tell already that the writers did a stellar job on this game. I normally like reading story text in games, but I can get burnt out on it after a while if it's too often and stuff. And that was not the case with Citizen Sleeper 2, where it was basically constant, only story text. The characters that you encounter and yourself, the choices that you get to dialogue options, I should say, they felt very multidimensional. And honestly, every single character, even the in between quotation marks, the bad guys, were a joy to interact with. Since it is a dice driven RPG, the gameplay is heavily RNG based. Right? So you use basically like your roll dice that you roll every day or every cycle, and you can use them to solve problems, activate mechanisms, use different skill sets, right, that your main character and your crew have. Now, the nice thing is that there's always multiple ways to solve any problem, right? So you're stuck behind a locked door, or you can use engineering, right, and open it that way, or you can use intuition and like hack into it. So it's based on how high the number on the dice is that you roll, right? So the dice that you roll more powerful when the action that you take matches the skill that your character is good at. For example, I was playing an engineering character. But every time there was a choice, I would like to go with like the brute force, the engineering thing, because that's what fit with my character. When you roll a 3, that 3 can have like a 25% chance of having a negative effect, which is usually pretty bad, like losing stress, whatever. But when I was using it with this character on engineering, a 3 was actually always like a success, either like 50% positive, 50% neutral. And there, because of this, there is like a bit of a nuance in this gameplay system. But it's more than just rolling dice and adding certain dice to certain actions. But at its core, that is pretty much the gameplay. And I only played it for a couple of hours, let's say 2 to 3. But after those few hours, it did definitely get a little bit repetitive for me. And I know maybe I'm not the target audience for this game, sure, but it felt very samey after a while. So me personally, I wouldn't recommend getting the June bundle for this game, right? But it definitely deserves to have a look taken at it, even if it is not up your alley, because who knows, right? You might find a hidden gem, and you might find that you're actually like pretty much into these story-driven RPGs. And up next is the last game that we're looking at today, which is Overlooting. And if I just grab the Steam description quite quickly here, it says, adapt your strategy to a skill tree that changes every run. Combine pieces of equipment to form powerful synergies, and create a game-changing build capable of defeating the bosses that will try to stop you. In this inventory management roguelike, 2 games never feel the same.
I don't know about this game. The game's the game's all right. It's fun, but they're lacking a lot, and mainly in the explanation department, because they just throw you in and they're like, "Well, here's your grid, here's your inventory, and here are stats that you have." And then you unlock an item. You just have to find out that you have to click on an enemy to fight them, by the way. Then it gives you like 3 items, and you can only pick one. Then you get it, and it'll give you like a buff, like let's say mana burst 5%, and you equip it, and you see you have mana burst 5%. But what does mana burst do? Who knows? You hover over mana burst, it doesn't give an explanation. But then you hover over something else, and it does give an explanation. So it's like, why doesn't everything just give a small, quick explanation when you hover over it? And then it's like, okay, well, there's a question mark in the bottom right. Let me click that. And then there is an explanation of everything that's in the game. Like the sets, the kind of buffs you can get. And it's like, why isn't that just for the buffs? Why can't you just hover over the quick overview and get the information about it? You don't even know there are sets to begin with. unless you very aptly read through all your Steam descriptions through the whole about this game part.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
honestly, who does that? Not me. I see gameplay, I see, that seems cool, and I buy a game,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh. Fair.
You just get random sets, and then you can hover over those, I believe, to find out what they do.
When you have enough.
Um,
When you get one stack of a set, then you can see what it does, yeah.
yeah, so that is nice. So why doesn't that exist for all the other stuff in the buffs and stuff? Other than that, most of my critique, the balancing in the game is kind of yes. Some enemies are way too weak, and some enemies just get way too strong. Other than that, builds that you have, either you get a build that works and you just clear through the game, or you just fall over and die because you didn't get that one little green elf helmet that gives you 5% swiftness increase. There's also an auto battle option.
Oh, really? Didn't even see it.
Yeah, there's an auto battle option in the settings, which is like, oh, isn't the whole point? Like, I don't know. This doesn't feel like an auto battler. Why would you add that option?
Oh, really? Because because the first run I had no clue about these sets and stuff, right? I got thrown in. I'm an idiot, so I don't like start looking at things. I just equip stuff and I just keep clicking. But as soon as I noticed like you get sets and stuff, this felt like an auto chess game to me. You can combine them to like 3 stars, just like in like Dota or in what is the TFT one called, like League of Legends thing, the TFT. Like it was the exact same. You get like a couple of things from a set, and you get a bonus that works well with the items from that set. I really had like a whole auto chess vibe. So the auto battling thing might actually make it more fun for me almost.
Yeah, I kind of disagree because they're throwing like a random assortment of enemies at you, and there
Yeah.
is strategy in killing a enemy over another. There's
Like
enemies in the game that have like, oh, this enemy deals double damage if there's
yeah.
another enemy on the field. So
Yeah.
there's no reason to target that one first because
Or when he dies, he gives like a damage buff to a certain enemy. You definitely have to think about who do I click first. So I do agree that
yeah.
auto battling doesn't work. I do think it fits with the theme of like the auto chess thing that's kind of happening here. I think it's a shame because it looks like I'm sorry, but it doesn't look very good. Right? I think the HUD the just looks atrocious. The pixel art is I guess okay, but it's slightly not detailed enough. And when you look at the poster of the game, I'll show it on screen now. It's very nice art. It's very beautiful, and I think if this whole game would be in this art style, that would already make it so much better. I don't think the pixelated thing works in this case.
I don't mind it all too much, but because
Um,
I can get that making pixel art is much easier. It's easier than making realistic forms of art, I feel like.
yeah, no, for sure, and I fully agree, and I understand that, and I respect that. But I think it's too simple. And just looking at the how much of the screen it takes up, like the two big gray bars on the side, ugh, it's not very nice to look at. And really, when I saw the photos and the videos of this game, I thought this is gonna be one of the bad ones in this humble choice, really. But when I played it, the gameplay wise, I think it was actually like quite strong. And I would like to play a couple more runs, which I wouldn't have expected just looking at the art style. So I don't think it's ugly. I just think it's not very inviting, especially how much of the screen the HUD takes up because it just doesn't look great. In general, you think you're ever gonna touch this game again after this or no?
Probably not. I just don't think it's for me, honestly.
Yeah, I only played a little bit of it, but I would say I would like to play a couple more games. I do think, and that's kind of what I see in the reviews as well when I look like at the comments that are under it. A lot of them say the same thing. It's fun for a while, as soon as you have tried every single set, which is not hard because there's only like 6 of them, right? So after a couple of runs, you will have tried everything and you unlock a character and you have to just do the same run 20 times with the same enemies that you keep seeing over and over again. It does become kind of just, a job, just work. And for that reason, I think overlooting is maybe not the strongest part of this bundle. No, agreed. In general, the humble choice for June 2026. We're recording this like half a month after it actually released. We've played through all of the games, some more than others. In general, like from the games that you've played at least, do you think that the value of this humble choice is worth getting?
From the games that are in the bundle, I'm not just gonna talk about the games I've only played,
Sure.
because for example, I have played Octopath Traveler 1, which I did enjoy. I do need to play it more,
Yeah.
but C'est la vie. So I do think I would also enjoy Octopath Traveler 2. Yeah, just based on the price of Humble Choice versus if I were to get like even two of these games that I enjoyed alone, you're already better off just getting the bundle value wise. Entertainment wise, I think there's a lot of misses in here for me personally, but it also just depends on what you as a person enjoy. Like if you enjoy the Life is Strange games, then it might already be worth to just get the bundle just for Life is Strange,
Yeah, for
right?
sure, for sure. That's also always what they do, right? They do like a variety of categories, like some puzzlers, some action games, narrative games, and I think the spread is healthy in this case. I do think there's a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
I know you've skipped a lot of the humble choices like lately, like the last couple of months, right?
Probably like the last year or so.
Just
Yeah.
all of them the last year?
Yeah. There just haven't really been any games, in my opinion, in the Humble Choices, which either A, I didn't already own,
Hmm.
or B, I just wasn't interested in.
Yeah.
And then there might be like one game that I'm interested in, but I was like, I'll just wait for the Steam Summer Sale or Winter Sale to get that game alone.
Yeah, agreed. Although there are a couple of games in this bundle, like especially that the lowest recorded price is still above like the total cost of the bundle. So monetary value wise, if you're into these games, it's definitely good. Even individually for each of these games. But if we wouldn't have done this thing, right, where we try all the games, where we review them, do you think you would have like even thought about getting this bundle?
Um, Probably just for Octopath Traveler 2.
Fair. And do you get the feeling that now that you've played like a couple more than you would normally play, like at least half of these humble choice games, do you think that's
There's like more reason to get it.
no, just I mean normally you skip because you watch maybe like a trailer or a couple of screenshots of a game and you quite quickly like I did with Overlooting, which looks like sorry, but like trash. I would have skipped it immediately like for just like an Overlooting or something. Right? But now that you've played a couple of these games like Hell Clock, which was honestly quite a surprise for you, right? That it was like decent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you happy that you got it eventually? That you did spend like the was it like 12 13 euros on?
Well, as I said, I probably wouldn't gotten it just for Octopath Traveler. So it was a nice little gem in the rough find in the bundle in that
Mhm.
sense.
Are you gonna
Just
look less critically next month? Like maybe think, oh, this game looks not for me, but maybe it's nice.
no, I'll look just as critically.
We'll see if maybe next month we want to do this again. So maybe you'll be forced to get it anyways. But we'll see whether or not at that point it will also be worth it or not. I really think that there's a couple of things that I would not have expected to be any good, and I think like in general, in total, it this one for me it is actually really worth it. Like the hours I've spent only on like the games that I played and then played even though I didn't have to anymore because I already played enough to like review it or something. Like on INDIKA where I played it for like 6 hours. I really do think it's worth it. I think there's a lot of cool games in there, and I would definitely recommend it. But it's good to have like a more critical, cynical voice on the other side, Robbie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me for this, and I guess I will see you next month.
Yeah, see you next month.